Well, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good middle of the night, whenever you're watching this program here on NBCTC or on YouTube. And welcome to another scintillating episode. What exactly does scintillating mean anyway?
Like it sparkles and there's like little pieces of light that flash out.
Oh, well, we've got sparkles tonight. And I, of course, am Paul W. Marino, and my comrade over here to my left and your right is Eugene Michaelenko.
And the crowd roars.
So, Frankie, would you please put the background photo in front of us? Thank you. All right. Frankie is our director for tonight. She's a student from the Adams High School. And
No, she's from one Greylock Regional, I thought.
yeah, I
Oh,
think so.
You said Adams High School.
Whatever.
Okay. They're both the same.
She's from someplace. And as Andy Griffith said, well, I've never known anyone who wasn't from someplace.
Okay.
So this is our history quiz for tonight.
Oh.
If you know or want to guess what this photo is of, please give us a call here at the studio at 663, I've forgotten the number.
What is it, 664?
664 4408.
We gotta have
Thank
that
you.
tattooed.
Yeah, and if you get it right, you will have bragging rights until the first Friday in February. So please give us a call, even if it's just a wild guess. You never know, you just might get this photo. I will take you, I will tell you that it was taken in the 1890s here in North Adams. That's all I'm going to tell you about it. Until we get to the last 5 minutes of the show, unless, of course, someone calls in with the correct answer.
A lot of guys in a carriage there. I think they're up to trouble.
So, Frankie, you can put that behind us again.
Please and thank you.
Thank you very much. That's lovely. So, tonight we have more pictures of the Plunketts.
We're into the third generation. Are you going to be okay?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
Oh.
Die on screen. That'd be spectacular.
Yeah, that's what makes it scintillating.
That'll increase our
All right,
our
so,
ratings.
Frankie, would you please put the computer on the screen? There we go, thank you. And this is?
This is William Caldwell Plunkett. William Brown Plunkett's heir, is the oldest son. He had two sons, and you're going to hear mostly about the second son tonight. Mm-hmm. He was the heir apparent. He was going to run Berkshire Cotton Manufacturing Company. He was all groomed for that. He was a businessman. He knew business backwards and forwards, while his brother really didn't know that much.
I need to get out of here.
Uh-oh. We're losing Mr. Marino. But I got to take over. Oh, here it is. Anyhow, here he is, his picture in 1914. But unfortunately, let's see, backwards. I pressed it too many times. I'm not really that good at this. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. Can you get back to the computer, or did I screw something up? There it is. You can't see this, can you? Yeah, you can see it better now. His father died on a train outside of Pittsburgh. She's with a heart attack. He just came back from the plantations in Mississippi, in Yazoo City. I always wondered if he was shocked by what he saw down there. I don't know if he ever visited them, visited those plantations in the past, but you know the horror stories of sharecroppers and life down there and picking cotton back in those days. Anyhow, he died in October of that year. And can I do this? No, I got to do this. And in December of that same year, William Caldwell succumbs to illness only a few days after an operation for appendicitis. I assumed he went into sepsis, and you know there was no penicillin in those days. So the Plunkett's are famous for having these double deaths. You notice his mother and his aunt both died within 2 months of each other. Lida and what was her name? Lida and I can't remember her name. Died within several months of each other, and then later on, his nephew will die with his within like another couple months of his wife. Oh, here they are, Lida and Leela. These are the two women, aunts, William B. Plunkett's wife and Charles T. Plunkett's wife. You see they died, one in October, the other in January. And I really think the big mausoleum, the only mausoleum in the Maple Street Cemetery, was built because of them. Anyhow, if you ever go to the Maple Street Cemetery, you'll see the big Plunkett mausoleum, and it's got quite a few Plunketts in there, and I think it's pretty full by now. I showed this picture a couple weeks ago, and you see here's President McKinley on the front porch of the Montreff, the Plunkett mansion that used to be on Park Street. In the back, you'll see W.B. Plunkett there, and then there's Lida, his wife, looking the wrong way. She's not paying attention to the photographer. But down in the corner, you'll see the other son, and his name is Theodore Plunkett. Is he wearing glasses? I don't know that.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it just looks that way, hey. But he's definitely looking, quite dapper here in knickers, and I guess I gotta go smaller before you can see him completely. I bet you he photobombed this, because that's, I think, the kind of guy he was, that he would have said, hey, I'm gonna sneak into this picture.
Sorry about that. I suddenly felt nauseated.
Oh, is it my fault?
No, it's not your fault. It's the way I'm built.
Boy, I got to do. Theo was not a businessman. Theo, I think, was an artist, bon vivant. Anyhow, I heard from somebody that he once ordered cotton by express train, and because the transportation costs were so high that there was no way they could make that cotton turn a profit for them. So there was a guaranteed loss from the day it arrived at the mill. So anyhow, they gave Theo the job of being sort of a merchant of mill supplies, and I believe he built this place. This is at the. This is 57 Park Street. This is where Adams News used to be. This is where the Bobo place. Boy, I can't remember what that was. I should have a picture of that someday. That was added on to this whole thing, just added on to the building on Park Street to be his offices. And if you look upstairs, there's actually a stockbroker in Adams. So this probably must have been taken in who knows when, but people had the money to invest in the stock market. Why is this happening to me?
I think the computer doesn't like you.
Yeah, I'll say.
But I do.
Well, everybody got to see these shots again.
Oh, it looks better on the screen than it does here.
Good. Theo used to put on productions. This is him. He's up there. You see him in the uniform, the dress uniform, and he was put on HMS Pinafore. There's this huge cast of all these local people who, and I believe they toured. I think they showed this in North Adams at the Empire Theater. They also showed this down in, I think they were at the Colonial, and I think they did something even around Great Barrington. But that was his
It's
forte.
interesting that it should play at the Empire and at the Colonial, because the Colonial was built by the Sullivan brothers.
Really?
Who built the Empire, and the Colonial was a duplicate of it.
Really?
Yes.
That's because the Empire must have been spectacular then, because the Colonial is quite
Yeah.
the place.
Now, when the Empire was bought by Paramount Publix, they took out the box seats and just made it a movie house.
This picture was taken in the St. Joseph's Chapel, which used to be on Park Street, Columbia Street at McKinley Square, where our fire department is now. And it was built originally as a Roman Catholic church. In fact, I think it has the record of being the first building built exclusively for Roman Catholic worship by the French Canadians in 1878, 76, something like that. But when Notre Dame built their church in 82, 87, I think it was 87, this was just empty. It was a performance space. And Theo, he was a tenor, and he was staying in the church choir, the Congregational Church. He was part of their choir. Theo also made movies. The name of this movie is The Manufacture of Fine Cotton Cloth, Berkshire Cotton Manufacturing Company, Adams, Mass. And it was made in 1917. I believe he got a film crew to come up from Long Island to make it. It was a one-reeler. It was only 17 minutes. But according to the guys from what's the channel station out of Boston? WCBB?
I'm not sure.
Who does Chronicle? The Chronicle shows. Anyhow, there was a guy from the Chronicle shows who came here and knew about this film, and he said it was the oldest existing footage of intact of footage filmed in Massachusetts, because all this stuff was made on that nitrate film, and most of it, all that film that was shot in Massachusetts was deteriorated. But for some reason, this film lasted. And there's a story behind it. In 1958 or something like that, I met John Babula, who used to teach at McCann. I'm not sure if he taught automotive or electronics, one of that. When he was a young man, he was working for the Berkshire Mills, and they told him, "Here, take this room and throw everything out." And in the room was these two reels of film, this, and you'll see the next one after this. And he didn't throw it out. He went and he kept it in his garage from 1958 to 1974, when the Adams Historical Society was founded, and then he donated it to the Adams Historical Society.
And it was still good.
And it was still viable, still usable. We were able to send it to a place in Jersey, Watchung, New Jersey, I think it was, who reproduced a film and put it on safety film. So this has been preserved, and it is not. You can watch it online on YouTube. I think you have to look under Berkshire Mill Operations is the name of the film.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think this is a clip from that film. This is the weave shed, just to show it. It was grainy. It isn't high production, but it was an interesting. It shows everything of cotton weaving production, from when the bales come off the train to when bales of finished good go back on the train to be shipped out. So there's spooling and spinning and weaving and finishing and all that stuff. It's an interesting, and you get a lot of views of the mills and what went on in the mill.
Miss
What-
Adams of Adams.
While the film company wasn't Adams, Theo put together a group of people to be in this movie called Miss Adams of Adams. Most of the people who were in it, except Myrtle and Theo, were in a theater troupe that was part of St. Thomas Aquinas Church. And they were doing some production over there, and I think Harold pulled them in and got them to be in this movie. Herbert Harold went on to become, well, let's first talk about Myrtle Adams. Myrtle Adams was...
Well, I find it especially interesting that the girl playing Miss Adams of Adams was named Adams.
Didn't it all come together? It's amazing, eh? There was an Adams family in Adams. They're creepy and they're kooky, mysterious and spooky. All together, the Adams family. Anyhow, they ran the mill in Maple Grove. Do you know where Maple Grove is? That section if you come on Route 8, you're coming from Cheshire and you come over the bridge and in that flat area, there's
Yes.
a gun shop. The mill is still there, and their house is still there too, the house of the Adams family. The Adamses came up here from Van Duzenville in South County when the railroad came to Adams, and they decided they were going to start a manufacturing company on the railroad line. They knew that was a guaranteed success, and they ran it for from 1854 to about 1948, so for almost 100 years. Myrtle was a daughter of one of those original guys, and she later on moved out of Adams and moved out to California. She married one of the McLarens, and I'm not sure what she did out there. I think she had enough money. She was independently, probably wealthy at that time. She had a cousin, W.T. Adams, who was very generous to Adams. There's the W.T. Adams Fund that at the library, a book fund, and there's a W.T. Adams Memorial Scholarship that they give out every year at the high school. And I think there was also a W.T. Adams endowment to the St. Mark's Church. Hopefully it's that All Saints Church now, I don't know. Herbert Harold became a selectman in Adams. George Dugan was another one of those characters in Adams. He was a postman, a letter carrier, and he ran for a state rep. He was in several other productions as well. The Historical Society was contacted about maybe 2-3 years ago of people asking if we knew any George Dugan, because they had done one of those DNA searches, what do they call it, 32andMe or something like that. And they said that they found out that they were not related to any of their cousins, but they were related to George Dugan's family. Come to find out, George Dugan was their actual grandfather that they never knew. They never knew that their father was born out of, their mother made it with the mailman and conceived the son. And this family were descendants of George Dugan. Millie Dunn was part of there were a bunch of Dunn family people who were very popular in Adams. They were sportsmen, and Millie Dunn used to play the piano for silent movies in Adams. She played in the old Atlas Theater, and she told Oscar that the place was so run down and decrepit that she played with her feet inside a cardboard box because she was tired of having the rats run over her feet. It chilled her.
Now, is that the theater that's being renovated?
Well, it was torn down, and the theater that's there now is the replacement of that dilapidated theater.
I see.
Catherine Holleran, don't know her. Ed Riley ran a pharmacy in Adams, also at McKinley Square. Do you remember the McKinley Square pharmacy, that long?
Not the pharmacy, but certainly McKinley Square.
Well, they tore it down when they built what's now the Adams Community Bank. Florence Holloway was another one of those people in Adams who was in all kinds of productions. She was the lead role with Theo in HMS Pinafore. She was in this. She was in several other plays. She actually moved to Albany to further her career in vaudeville or whatever. So, but Miss Adams of Adams is another one reel or 17-minute thing that was just also preserved, and also I think you can see this online at the Adams Historical Society's YouTube site. This is the picture of Miss Myrtle Adams and Theo Plunkett, another still from the movies. This is them in the gardens behind the Plunkett mansion. Theo has just been reunited with her after she's upset all the other boys in town because they thought they had a chance with her, and Theo says, no, she's mine, and I'm taking her away to be married. End of story. I said Theo wasn't a very good businessman. Can we make this? No, I guess I can't make it smaller. Yes, I can make it smaller. Why is that happening to me? So he wasn't good at business, but he was good at theater, and so he ran for politics. He ran for in government, and he got elected state senator in 1930, and served there. And in 1931 or 32. They appropriated $100,000 to build a war memorial beacon on top of Mount Greylock. Come 1933, all of a sudden they say, we can build one, but we need another $100,000 to build it. And according to the governor, he made this speech when they were dedicating the war memorial on Mount Greylock. He said that Theo went and what they call buttonhole every single state rep and senator in the general court to back the bill, and the bill got passed because of his efforts.
Yeah, that's neat.
So that's his claim to fame. And here's the Mount Greylock War Memorial, thanks to Theo Plunkett. He has one more distinction that I like. This is him at one of the meetings of the Adams Lions Club. This is taken from a film that the Lions Club made in 1940. Senator Plunkett at that time, I think he was still senator, I think he was vice president of the Adams Lions Club, and he was one of the charter members. The Lions Club was formed in 1939, and here he is at the Mohawk Hotel at one of the Lions Club's first meetings.
Now, where was the Mohawk Hotel?
It's now called Brookshire Housing owns it, across from AJ's on Pleasant Street, the big yellow building. It was originally built as the Barrett House. It's probably called the Barrett House now,
Yes.
actually. Yes, okay. And then it became the Mohawk Hotel, and now it's back to its original historic name.
Did he create any movies while he was in government?
Nope, I don't know of any. His only claim to fame was those two made in 1917.
Kind of disappointing.
He had a great future. He had a great... He could have been the next D.W. Griffith. Speaking of D.W. Griffith, those movies were made 2 years after Birth of a Nation, because that was done in 1915. So there was a pioneer here in movies. The last time I showed the show, I forgot to bring this of when they were demolishing the tower at Brookshire Mill number 3. It was 1972, and they are tearing it down after the town of Adams rejected it and said they didn't want it. And Al Ostrowski said, okay, and he tore it down. Well, that's my segment on T.R. Plunkett.
Yeah, there's no,
Oh, there's no more after, so I can't do that.
That's right.
Okay.
well, that's great. We have 33 minutes left.
What do you want to talk about?
Oh, I don't know. We were supposed to have a conversation earlier when they were testing the microphones. You want to try doing that now?
Okay, I could try. We have to take pictures of your cemetery tour, so that your cemetery tour can be up here. We'll have to get together, and I'll take pictures, and you can come back and you can tell the
Are you going to
story.
carry me up the hill in Hillside?
You could sit in the car and point, say that one, take a
Yeah,
picture of that
yeah.
one. I'm like, this one? No, the other one. It'll be fun.
Actually, I do have a lot of photos for that.
Oh.
Because when I wrote that up for my website, which now does not exist, thank you very much, and I'm going to have to rebuild it. Well, I do have photos of the stones that I point out.
Oh, good.
At the top of the hill and on the way down.
Do you have them digital? I mean, they're
Yes.
Oh, perfect. You should
Yes,
put
I
them
do.
together. We should, because that's a good tour. And I was on it
Yeah,
years ago.
I wound up doing it on 2 pages.
Oh,
So at the bottom of the first page, click here to get to the other side of the street. Don't worry, the traffic will wait for you. Yeah, I can put those on a flash drive and bring them for the next show.
I was somewhere there where they were talking about Giles Tinker's mausoleum in Hillside Cemetery. Someone spray painted it gold, the doors gold?
I don't recall hearing that.
I was on a conversation with, what's his name?
I'll have to go
Santini,
take a look at that.
And that the doors were painted gold. Someone went and sprayed it, not like professionally, just sort of like almost like vandalism. Go take a look. And I drove by it and I saw they are gold. They sprayed them gold. So, but
Yeah, I believe it's cast iron.
oh really? The doors are? They're not.
Well,
Copper,
there's the glass doors, and then the the figure mounted on it is cast iron.
Wow. Okay. You think it'd be something more sophisticated? Yeah. But,
Yeah, when that was built in the 1920s, everyone who was already buried in the lot was exhumed. And then they built the mausoleum. It was built by,
it was a daughter. It was a granddaughter.
no, it was the grandson of
Giles.
E.R. Boss Tinker and his father and one of his uncles. So Giles was one of those, but the original Giles is up at the top of the hill. So he also bought a strip of land 6 feet wide, or rather 6 feet deep, from the from the step to the property line. It's 6 feet, and he bought that from the grandson of
We got to get our notes.
crap, I can't think of his name,
And I can
but
help
it was
you.
the lot right in front of them, and neither family could bury anyone in that land, but they could plant decorative trees or shrubs. And I get the impression that there were decorative shrubs there at one time. I've never seen any photographs of them, but Mr. Tinker, that is the grandson, died in 1958. And he left a fund, the Tinker Charitable Trust, that would annually pay $10,000 to the North Adams Hospital, $5,000 to the Episcopal Church, and $2,000 to the city. That money earmarked for the maintenance of Hillside Cemetery, especially the area around the Tinker Vault. Mm-hmm. But, and it also paid off some yearly scholarships. But it did not start paying out until Mrs. Tinker died in 1978. And by that time, she had given away so much money, it was down to several $1,000s. But the overseers of the trust began investing it. And today, it's up in the millions.
Really?
Yes.
How's it being spent? Who's in charge of it?
There are some descendants of the original Giles and Zilpa Tinker who don't live around here, but they came looking for their graves, and they were unhappy with the state that their graves were in. And so they contacted the overseers of the foundation, and they asked them for some money to help them plant a brass marker up there. And they were so thrilled to come across an actual descendant. They despaired of ever being in touch with a descendant. So they paid the entire amount to put that brass tablet up there.
Oh. Great moments in the Hillside Cemetery.
Now, of course, when the hospital closed, they stopped paying out the $10,000. And when the church became All Saints, I believe they kept getting the money for that. And of course, the city keeps getting the $2,000. And some of it was used to restore the Johnson Vault on the other side of the street.
Oh, I like the Johnson Vault. It sort of looks Egyptian. It's got that weird column. And
one of them, one of the Johnson daughters, was married to one of the Tinker sons.
Oh.
So she was buried there with her family, but because of the connection and because of the work being done, the city gave them some of that money.
Okay.
Now, I meant to tell you, when you mentioned, what was it that you mentioned? I forget what it was that you mentioned, but it reminded me of the post office in North Adams. Yeah, it was when Mr. Plunkett was in in the state government, and he buttonholed all the men
Oh,
and
yeah.
got the money.
He helped get money for the post office?
Yeah, well, it was George Pelton Lawrence was
He was
an attorney, and in the mid-1890s, he was appointed to be a judge, the youngest judge ever appointed to the bench in in Massachusetts history. And then about 1899, he was elected to the Massachusetts House of Representatives to complete the term of, stop that. You can't see it, but my hand is shaking down there. So that's who I was talking to. So he was elected to complete the term of a man who had died in office. Now, that man was the first resident of North Adams elected to national office. He was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. And
I thought
Mr. Lawrence was the first native of North Adams ever elected to national office.
What about Elihu Hawks, the guy who wrote all that legislation about the Native Americans? And
Was he elected to national office?
yeah, I
or
thought he was a
state
senator or a state
office?
rep, and he was instrumental in the policy around Native Americans and the reservations. And
I will have to look that up.
I think it was him. He even has some kind of a amendment or piece of legislation with his name on it. Mm-hmm. That's a reference to the Indian Bureau and Affairs. Look that one up, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a
So
very
at
happy
any rate,
history.
when he appropriated the money for the North Adams Post Office. And the practice at the time was to build small, boxy post offices. Mr. Lawrence made sure that we got a palace.
And you did.
Yes, he did. And I have a photograph of it when it was nearly finished. They were putting a cupola on it, which is now gone.
Oh.
And, pardon me. It went from groundbreaking to grand opening in almost exactly 1 year. I don't remember if it was a day over or a day under.
But it was.
And one of the neat things about it is today it has a secret passage in it.
Where? It's a
Well-
secret. You can't tell me.
Oh, I can tell you all right. You know, when you're on Summer Street and there are the steps going up, on the right, there's a set of steps going down. That is the postal inspector's door. He goes in there, and right next to that door, there is a door that only he has a key to. He goes in there, closes the door, and through some peepholes, watches the people at work so that he can be sure that the jobs are being done correctly and nobody's goofing off. And it's like the fabled day of the second coming. Nobody knows when the inspector is coming.
Nobody expects this.
That's right. Nobody expects the postal inspector. Our weapon is surprise. Surprise and fear are two weapons. Our fear, surprise, and the ruthless efficiency. Our three weapons are fear, surprise, and ruthless efficiency. And an almost fanatical devotion to the Pope. Amongst our weapons, I'll come in again. Don't get me started on Monty Python.
Right, it's a good one. The post office in Adams doesn't have that kind of a history. And it used to be on Center Street, and I'm not sure how it got moved over to Park Street. And it used to be across from the Congregational Church in a storefront. And then in the 40s, it was part of a Depression era project, works project that they built it in the 40s. Nothing spectacular.
Well, before the post office was in the present building in North Adams,
Yeah, where was it? Yeah.
it was in the, I hate when my brain does this to me. It was in the,
I can't help you because I don't know where it was.
all right, but it's coming to me. The hotel on Main Street that was where the Empire Building is now.
Wilson House.
Yes, thank you. I can speak for myself, thank you. It was in the Wilson House. Here, allow me.
Okay. You deserved it. I guess I have nothing else about the postal history of northern Berkshire. Other than, oh wait, in Adams there was a weird situation. There were two brothers, the Smith brothers, who are also the founders of the Smith Brothers.
They didn't make cough drops, did they?
No, they made insurance. Smith Brothers Insurance Company in Adams, Smith Brothers McAndrews. One was Fritz, and the other one was, now am I going to, Philip maybe? Howard, Philip? Anyhow, one was a Republican and the other one was a Democrat. And so when there was a Republican in office, the Republican got to be the postmaster, and when there was a Democrat in office, the Democrat got to be in office. So I'm not sure how well that switched back and forth. The Smith brothers. One of the Smith brothers that survived into the 20th century, Fritz, is actually in the movies, the 1940 movies that we have. Fritz Smith, who was at the 1932 Democratic Convention, and someone mistook him for Erich von Stroheim. Do you know who Erich von Stroheim was? He was the famous director, the German director,
That
who
sounds
they always
right.
used to always make fun of. He had a riding crop and he wore jodhpurs and riding boots. He played, the last time big movie he was in was Sunset Boulevard with Gloria Swanson and with Bill Holden. He was a chauffeur for them. Anyhow, they thought that Fritz Smith was Erich von Stroheim. They put him on camera, and not realizing that it was Fritz and not Eric.
That puts me in mind of a Charles Addams cartoon. There's a director and a couple other people, and a chariot drives in, with 4 or 5 horses in the front, and the guy is waving a scroll. You better take this one. It looks like another memo from Mr. DeMille.
Hollywood, that whole system. Do you have any Hollywood connection in northern Berkshire other than the Melchers and Doris Day?
I don't think so. It was just the Melchers.
Yeah, it was our only Hollywood connection.
I recall her saying in one of her books that her marriage to him was the happiest one of her life,
Oh, that's good to hear.
which is interesting because when he died, he left her flat broke.
Oh,
He'd been wheeling and dealing with her money, and rather than blame him, she blamed his business partners.
so it was true love, and not she didn't marry him for his money. Well-
So we have 13 minutes left. No, yeah, 13 minutes left.
We can talk about my recent newsletter that I just printed
Oh,
out.
tell me about your recent
It
newsletter.
was a two-parter. And it was somebody who wrote into the Historical Society and said that her second great-grandfather, two-time grandfather, how do they say that, was
Great-great-grandfather?
two times over, more great-great-great-grandfather, was murdered on a Sunday afternoon after an afternoon of drinking. A bunch of guys, I don't know what happened, they were drinking he was drinking at their house, his wife showed up, and his wife wanted him to come home, and one of the men manhandled her, and so he went to defend his wife and started a brawl, and these guys pretty much beat him up and and killed him. He died that night. But it was built. It happened on East Hoosick Street, and at that time they called it Sevastopol. If you know anything about Sevastopol and the famous Battle of Sevastopol during the Crimean War, according to the street legend in Adams, there was a fight between two women that occurred on the same day that they heard about that Battle of Sevastopol. And ever since that time, they called that section of town Sevastopol. And it even appeared in the directories as your address of the people living in Sevastopol, someone lived in Sevastopol. And the newspapers always referred to anything that happened, that happened in that section of town.
Now, when you say Sevastopol, do you mean Sevastopol?
Where did you come up with that?
I don't know. It's the way I seem to remember hearing it said.
No, it's Sevastopol. Even in Russian, it's Sevastopol. How would you pronounce it?
Sevastopol. Get it?
Where did you put it? Sevastopol? Where did you put the accent on the first syllable?
Yeah, Sevastopol.
Sevastopol? No, it's Sevastopol. Yeah. Google it.
I am a low, miserable worm. And by the way, if you are sick and tired of sitting there listening to us drone on about the past, why don't you give us a call at 664-4408 and make a guess about our background photo. Frankie, would you put it in front of us again, please? Oh, thank you. I'm sure that's a great relief to the audience. So this is our history quiz. Who are these people? And I could add, where are they going, but that would be needlessly cruel. I just want to know who these people are. Give us a call at
664-4408. Hey, so is that what they call four in hand? Those horses?
Well, it looks more like stagecoaches to me, except that they're convertibles.
Yeah, but the four in hand means that there's four horses. Don't they have four horses pulling? I guess they need that many horses to pull all those men, especially uphill.
And there were some uphills to get through to get to where they were going.
Yeah, so.
So, Frankie, the audience has not suffered long enough. Thank you. Oh, now they're suffering again. Oh, listen closely. You can hear them crying through the TVs.
I think they're just going to turn us off and walk away.
Well, we could do
not even
that.
good background.
We could do that, but then no one would find out the secret of our background picture today.
Yeah, I'm anxious to know about it.
Yeah, so now we have 8.5 minutes.
They're all wearing white hats. Does that mean anything? You know? A lot of
It
them are.
might mean something.
Yeah.
It might mean that they were the good guys.
Oh, they're all part of a hat club. Where did that go?
It was not a hat club, but you are right, they were a sort of club.
Oh,
So, I can clarify it a little more. It was taken at the intersection of Main Street and Bank Street.
I knew that.
Yeah, so that's Bank Street behind them, and Main Street is the street that they're on.
Do you know any of those buildings? What's on the west to the left? Was that there before urban renewal, or was that? No, that looks. I don't remember that building. But
Well, that
I'm not old
was the
enough.
Berkshire Bank,
Oh, was it?
and for a long time, it had the Bliss Business School on the third
yeah,
floor.
that's famous. Yeah.
Yes,
I've
it
always run
is.
across.
And
obits.
what they did was they had a number of virtual businesses there. So when you started there as a student, they started you as a clerk in their virtual bank.
Wow.
And you worked your way up from desk clerk up to a foreman and up until you reached the president of the bank. And then you got moved to another business where, again, you started at the bottom and worked your way up. And you also learned shorthand and typing and everything, so that by the time you graduated, you had hands-on experience in every level of business, every type of business. So you could go and step in to a high-ranking position.
I've run across, I don't know how many obituaries where it mentions that they were a graduate of the Bliss Business College. They called themselves a college, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And hence that must be the name why Bank Street is Bank Street. Because of that bank?
Well,
What was it? It wasn't always Berkshire Bank. It was probably Adams
no,
National
there was
Bank.
Berkshire Bank on one side, and up the street there was, the North Adams Savings Bank, and then on this side there
On the right.
was another bank that had a revolving door that I vaguely remember, and when they tore the building down, they took off one layer of bricks, and then there was the steel wall of the vault.
Oh.
Yeah, who knew?
Yeah. But that building on the right looks like a hat shop. I think there's a movement.
Well, there was a tailor in there, and we are down to 4 minutes and
You're
40
counting?
seconds.
You're
So, Frankie, would you please put the photo up again? Thank you.
We're gonna reveal this.
All right, none of you called in.
The secret will be
Shame on
revealed.
you all. Shame, shame, shame. Yes, on all three of you. This is a photo of the North Adams German choir on their way to a picnic at Pontusic Lake in Pittsfield.
Wow. You had a German choir in North Adams?
Yeah, and as I said a lot earlier, until I saw this photo, I had no idea that North Adams had a German choir.
Wow. Adams had a huge German population. I didn't know North Adams had one. There's 5 clubs in Adams that are German, and there's 2 that are still in existence. The Turnverein, the Turn Hall, and the Mountain Club are both German clubs. Mm-hmm. There's another one, God, the Germans built what was the P&A on Victory Street. That was a German club. And they built
I
Roadkills.
need to tell Frankie something before we go
okay.
any further. Frankie, you can put the photograph behind us again. No, behind us. That's the way. Thank you, Frankie. I'll have a talk with her about training later.
You're doing fine, Frankie. You're doing fine.
Yeah, she is doing great. We love you, Frankie. Okay, so we have about 3 minutes left. Do you want to cash it in here?
We could. I don't know. I could keep talking about Germans and atoms. I got a ton of stuff I could say, but...
All
I should say
right,
that.
you have 2 minutes.
Okay. We had like 3 or 4 streets in Adams that were German names. One was Gritzbach Lane, one was Kipper Lane, and the other one was Turnvorwärts Lane. And they changed them all after World War I because of the whole anti-German thing. So Gritzbach Lane became, oh boy, I can't remember now here. Is it Turner's Avenue? No, because Turnvorwärts Avenue became Turner's Avenue. Kipper Avenue, it was actually named after Emil Kipper, who was L.L. Brown's son-in-law,
Yep.
who ran the Xylite mill. But he was also part of the German group that was pro-German during World War I. When the war broke out, they put him in jail because they considered him a threat.
Yeah, now I know there is an old butcher shop.
Greelix.
Yeah, the beautiful exterior, and it's parallel to Summer Street.
Oh.
Was that a German butcher?
Oh yeah, there were several German butchers. There was Nenza's, there was Ackerman's, there was Greelix, there was there's another one I just can't put my name on it, but there were like lots of
Dunderbeck's?
Dunderbeck's and
Oh,
not
Mr.
Tiedemann.
Mr. Dunderbeck, how could you be so mean? I told you you'd be sorry for inventing that machine. Now all the neighbors' cats and dogs will never more be seen. They've all been ground to sausages in Dunderbeck's machine.
You're making sausages. Yeah. Yeah, I guess maybe there's just 3 big German butchers in town. So, well, that's enough.
All right, so we have just under a minute now.
Do you
So
have a
thank
countdown?
you for coming tonight.
Thank you for coming again.
Yes,
You weren't
you're
here last
welcome.
time, and
Thank the 3 of you for coming tonight. And Matt and Frankie, thank you. We adore the both of you. And we look forward to seeing more of you here, Frankie. And
I hope you're having fun.
yeah. Oh, I'm sure she is. And the 3 of you and some others who accidentally turned to this station, thank you very much for joining us tonight. And we will see you, is it 2 weeks?
Something like that, beginning of February.
Yeah, we'll see you on the first
7th.
Friday
Yeah.
in February here at 6 p.m. on Northern Berkshire Community Television. Take care. Wait,
Hello,
there we are.
everybody.
Take care.